Congressman, so this past week we saw a front page New York Times story about General Electric. We saw that the company, which is the largest corporation in our country, is actually didn't pay anything in taxes. It actually received billions of dollars in taxpayer benefit.
2.3 billion.
3.2, yes, exactly. And don't you see a contradiction here between asking, let's say, low-income people, middle-income people, working-class people, students, pay with their services and benefits, while big corporations like this are getting away with paying nothing or even getting benefits? And what do you have to say to conservative politicians like Newt Gingrich, who we actually asked about this very fact about corporations not paying taxes? He actually said that we should be celebrating that because that means they're successful.
Everybody in a civilized society should pay their fair share, according to their ability to pay. You don't expect poor people to pay half their salary for the society in which they live. But this society exists, and people make money in it and do very well economically in it because we've created this society, and it costs money to do that. And for General Electric to float along and not pay anything, that's where the alternative minimum tax came from a long time ago, was because it's absolutely irritating that General Electric pays less than the secretary out at the front desk of this agency, of this organization. It is simply not fair, and it is also destructive to the whole idea of a civilized society. If we don't all put in, then how can we look to other people to take care of us when we have a problem? If I'm going to take care of myself and my people, and that's all, I don't care about anybody else, well, then when I have a problem, why should anybody care about me? And that's not a civil society. That is me taking for me and nobody else, and not caring about anybody else. It's not what we say this country is really all about. So I think the tax situation in this country is terrible. And talking about corporate tax rate reductions, they say, oh, it's 35%. GE's paying nothing. Why are we going to reduce the rate when the big corporations have figured out ways to get out of it altogether? Unless we're going to talk about taking away some of those subsidies and get them in to pay. Well, it'd be nice to see them pay 15%.
Right. Do you see any support in your caucus about proposing closing a lot of these loopholes and making these people pay their fair share as an opposition to these budget cuts?
Well, there are people. We're in the minority. I got to say that. But the argument that, oh, you can't put taxes on the job makers or the job creators or whatever, they're going to create jobs anyway. And they're also they're leaving money overseas. They're doing all kinds of ways to avoid being in the United States and paying taxes and paying for the society. But they say, oh, but we have to have an educated workforce. We need well-educated kids. But they're not here paying taxes for the common schools, and they're not paying taxes to cover the costs of the universities. So they're talking really out of both sides of their mouth. And I think that any kind of tax reform has to start with them paying more.